What would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life?
Welcome to the Datsusara podcast.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing.
All right, so hello everybody, and today we are here with Jack Taufer. Am I pronouncing that right?
That's right. Yeah, well, that's how I say it. I think it like if I was in Germany, it'd be like Taufer, but I say Taufer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm in a very German descended town here, so I should get that right. But anyway, yeah, and another of my you're another one of my guests. I keep saying I'm like going around collecting Rickson inspired black belts or something because I've been interviewing everybody who's kind of on that on that journey a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's been good. But everybody says I got to talk to Jack, so it's good to finally connect with you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and you are off in France teaching at the moment, that's pretty cool. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like that's their, dream is to get so good at jiu-jitsu and well know enough they can actually travel the world a little bit and teach and whatnot.
Yeah, check this out.
Yeah,
I'm in
let's see.
a little romantic town called Chateau Thierry. The French will probably want to kill me,
Sure.
but it's this beautiful little town. It's about an hour outside of Paris. And
Yeah.
then right there is Champagne, where they actually like
Oh
make
yeah.
official like champagne.
The real
But
stuff.
I went and got a tour. It was really, really cool. Yeah, it's a really beautiful little town.
That
And
is
Paris was
awesome.
cool. The Eiffel Tower is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that looks beautiful. I kind of like that too, being a little more outside of the city. I'm kind of over cities the older I get. However, yeah, I got to see Paris maybe once, but
It was
yeah,
good.
I love the
The Eiffel Tower was, it blew my mind. I didn't think I would be impressed, but it was really impressive.
yeah, yeah. No, that's one of the big ones. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. So you're out there teaching seminars and privates and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah. Done a couple privates here in France. I did three in England, one in Scotland, and I'm doing another seminar this weekend. I don't know the name of the city, but it's about depends how you go. Like maybe by car, it's about 4 or 5 hours outside of Paris. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the bullet train, so I'll get there in a couple. I'll get there pretty quick.
That's cool. How did
Yeah.
you get, this is an interesting thought. Like, how did you get to a point where you were not only known in, your home country, America, enough that you could go around and teach, but to like, how did people in Europe and other, faraway places end up looking for you to come teach them?
Well, social media helps.
Mm,
People have a curiosity about Rickson. That obviously helps,
yeah.
like yourself.
Yeah.
And then, one of the things, it was actually the first time I ever left the country. I was just sitting on my couch one day watching Netflix or whatever. And then I get a message. Hello, Mr. Toffer. Would you consider doing a seminar here in the Philippines? And I was like, that can't be real. And so I was just like, yeah, sure. Just put me on a couch and don't let me get stabbed. And
Yeah.
they got back and they're like, no, no, we would have put you up in a condo. We have a condo for you. We've got this and that, and it'd be legit. We are the and then what got that started was unfortunately my sister, she passed with cancer, but I did the Budo videos reached out to me, and because I started doing videos, and I've been friends with Budo Jake and Budo Dave for a very long time since blue belt, and they saw one of the videos that I just did. I said, "Hey, I'm trying to raise some money," and I didn't really know much about GoFundMe or anything like that,
Mm.
but they invited me to come into the studio, and we ended up recording a 5-part series, BJJ versus cancer, and I was
Oh,
able to raise several $1,000s for my nephew, and so that got maybe 100,000 views. And then just from networking, I've met a lot of people also. And then, like Rickson will have big seminars. You meet the black belts and start talking to them. And then you go to, you travel in different cities and towns and stuff like that. I travel quite a bit, not necessarily for jujitsu, but sometimes for work and sometimes just for pleasure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just pop into gyms. Like, hey, you want to teach a class? Sure. Hey, can we have you in for a seminar? So, because, the Rickson stuff is different than what's currently being taught.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's in some ways I can't sometimes I can't tell if it's dying out or just making a comeback or what, but it's I'm just glad there are folks like yourself and Chris and Ryan and Dave and these people who are still keeping it alive. So it's a good thing. It seems like there's a new interest again, so that's good. But
Yeah.
so
You
how
know,
did go ahead.
oh,
No, no.
I was going to say, it's interesting. Like most people, I would think this is still the case. Most people don't go into jujitsu like someone off the street or something like that. They don't go into, do you want to be a world champion competitor in jujitsu? I mean,
Right.
but when I think a non-practitioner where they hear the word jujitsu, they think of fighting. So, like they think of protecting yourself and fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that if the guys are like, we make world champions, they're like, oh, cool, I'm going to learn how to actually fight.
Hmm.
Whereas, they would go into a school perhaps and I don't think they understood that it was just going to be pure sports stuff versus that like self-defense
Yeah.
oriented with striking and defending against strikes and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's an interest in protecting yourself for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I do think that still seems to be, I think the majority of people going in do go in with that mindset. Sometimes I wonder, like I was up and visited the Kingsway Jiu-Jitsu with Gordon Ryan there the other day, and I was like, I wonder with him, probably there, I suppose you get some people who have already been exposed and they're there specifically for the sport. But yeah,
Yeah.
it kills me even with like they obviously have a good level of instruction there, but one of their guys who just won EBI, I apologize to him, I forgot his name, but it as good as his jujitsu was, it drove me nuts because when he got picked up from in his close guard. And when he got picked up, he held on, and I just like that shit drives me crazy because he knew he couldn't be slammed or whatever. And I'm going, oh, like even this top level instruction, and I mean, it's still I would have thought that over there they would have at least covered not doing that, but apparently not. So yeah, it's the self-defense side gets lost so easily.
Yeah, I think if you pick someone up in a triangle, or if you pick them up inside their guard, if you're inside their guard, I think you should get points for that.
Yeah,
But because to protect the competitors, because it is so dangerous to get slammed,
yeah,
they don't let you slam.
right.
But it's like, yeah, I put you in a really, that's like I almost submitted you. If
Right.
even on a mat, you'll see people go unconscious where it's
Yeah.
allowed. There
Yeah.
was I think at purple belt, a guy named Cameron Earl. I don't know if you remember him. He was from Half Gracie team. He was one of like the top Americans. He competed against Hiran, and I think he jumped guard, just jumped guard standing, and
Uh,
he slams were allowed, and he just slammed him, and he was completely unconscious, and that was the end of the match. But you get points for throws. Why
mhm.
why not get points for slams? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. That might at least kind of, yeah, help discourage people from doing that. So
Yeah.
we definitely, it'd be nice to see something.
Yeah, for sure. Also, my friend, dear friend, one of my best friends, Chris Burns,
Oh, yeah.
he's staunch, only self-defense.
Yes.
Whereas I don't feel like Rickson is necessarily like that. I think I'm
Mhm.
not like that.
Yeah.
Rickson I had a conversation with him one time, and he was like, Jack, in Brazil, like people are like, why don't you have a massive team like Gracie Baja or like, the like Alliance or Checkmat or any of the big guys, right? And he's like, man, in Brazil, I had the top gi fighters, I had the top no gi fighters, I had the top MMA or Vale Tudo fighters,
Yeah.
where you could soccer kick and stomp someone's face,
Mm.
stuff like that. And then he's like, and then I had wild guys in the streets. He's like, I had everything covered.
Yeah.
But he'll work. Like right now, he's teaching a lot, and he's he'll get excited for whatever it is that you're passionate about. But he really wants to make sure that you know how to defend yourself with punches and strikes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, I think that's priority number one. But
Mm.
he teaches competitors, he teaches fighters, he teaches regular mom and pops, and he's teaching teachers right now a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I think if you at least approach that from like your core should involve that, then you want to go off and do some sports stuff or whatever. That's great. But I would think that everybody would want at their core to have that in place, so that at least it's still a martial art and it's still a self-defense. If you get in that situation, you've got that as your foundation.
Yeah, why not have a jujitsu that works for all three?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And always self-defense. It always would work in a self-defense situation.
Yeah.
You don't put yourself in compromised positions.
Yes, yeah, I think that's huge, and it's always been good for me to revisit that in my own jiu-jitsu. It's like every time I start getting too far away from that, or I go, you know what, is this actually a good position to be in right now? So I get somebody, all right, let's throw on the MMA gloves and like go ahead and start hitting me a little bit because there's some spots where I'm like, oh, I thought I'd probably be okay there. Like, no, you're not. You need to get the hell out of that spot. It's a terrible place to be. So, yeah,
Yeah,
keeps you honest. So I definitely like that. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Right there with you.
So tell me a little bit. Let's get into your jiu-jitsu history a little bit. I know you've probably told all that a million times, but I would love to hear a little bit about kind of your journey and how you got to where you're at and like what started you. I think you started pretty young, but if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I started in '95. Yeah, and I have told this story quite a bit. So the people who followed me were like, okay, not this again. But
Right.
um, uh, yeah, I was just getting picked on and stuff like that, and got my skateboard stolen. I got sucker punched a few times, and I was like, all right. And I started just living in anxiety, and I kind of was like, I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the fight or flight, and I picked fight, and I was like, okay, I need to learn it. And fortunately, my cousin ended up showing me an early UFC. Like I think it was five, it could have been four, but
Yeah.
um, and I was like, all right, I need to do that, and just opened up the phone book, found Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I was living in Salt Lake City at the time,
Okay.
and I don't know the exact year that Pedro Sauer got there, but he had already in '95 he already had purple belts,
Mm.
but so I think he got there in the like '89 or '90 or something like that.
Right.
So I ended up going to his academy, and just started. I took my allowance, took the bus up there,
Nice.
skateboarded home. I was 15 years old, and then I hadn't really looked back. Yeah, there's obviously breaks and stuff like that, and you travel and whatever, life happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been doing it with breaks and injuries and family stuff, etc. But for about 30 years now.
Yeah.
But started with Pedro, ended up visiting my brother in Florida, and I found out that Rickson was doing a seminar in Tampa.
Yeah.
And my brother was basically Tampa, just outskirted of Tampa. It's called Clearwater.
Hmm.
And went into the seminar. It was a 2-day seminar, 3 hours each. And yeah, there was a brown belt assistant at the time, and I rolled with him. I didn't have the balls to ask because Rickson was like, "Hey, anyone in here? Let's go."
Yeah.
And I really wanted to, but I was too intimidated and nervous and everything else. And so, but I did roll with the brown belt.
Hmm.
And then years later, I ended up getting married and moved to Southern California,
Mm.
and or didn't ended up meeting a girl, moved to Southern California, eventually got married. But I went to a tournament. It was called Copa Pacifica,
Mm.
and in the early days in California, that was like basically the only tournaments around, and it
Hmm.
was put on by Kleber Luciano. But I wasn't competing that day, but I just sat down in the bleachers, and I was just sitting there looking, and I look over, and I'm really good with faces and horrible with names typically.
Yeah.
I look over, and I was like, "Oh, I know you. You're Rickson brown belt." He's like, "Actually, I got my black belt." It's like, "Oh, that's very cool." And was like, give me your phone number. I'd like to train with you.
Hmm.
And I bounced around to a couple of gyms in Southern California before knowing that there was a Rickson gym there,
Hmm.
and ended up training with Dave Kama for about, I don't know, 20 something years. But every Saturday we would drive up and go train at Rickson's. He was teaching, he was active. I took one class at the Pico location, Pacific Palisades. I took a shitload of classes, and then he moved to I think it was Santa Monica Boulevard, and
Hmm.
then took a ton of classes up there. And then Rickson disappeared after Hoxton passed.
Right. Yeah.
Then I just training with Dave. But it was interesting too. Dave was not an affiliate school. It was Rickson Gracie, Laguna Niguel, and Rickson
Right.
Gracie, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So Dave Kama is a Rickson black belt through and through. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've talked to him yet. Have you?
I have not yet, and it's funny because I'd heard about him in the past, but like he's kind of like he's quiet, and so
Yeah,
yeah, and then
yeah,
when I started digging into, when I came back to training and started digging into the Hickson, affiliate, people that were on that kind of same wavelength, I kind of circled back around, and then I ended up talking to Ryan recently, and so yeah, one of these days it'd be fun to talk to Dave because he's like, that's some OG right there. So yeah, it'd be
yeah.
good to talk to him. But it's funny. I actually had some business dealings with Ryan that I had completely forgotten about. So I sort of had some connection, like even years ago before I stopped training. It was like we were gonna do some gis and stuff for them, and but even back then, I didn't quite realize who I was talking to. Like, I didn't, oh, okay, you guys are actually like that close to Rickson and everything. I just thought, like, oh, it's some guy's jiu-jitsu place. It's got a shark on the logo. Oh, okay. So I had no idea. But yeah, now that I've done my research a little more, but it seems like that probably was a really great place to be learning. And yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It was more like a club. Dave has just a passion for jujitsu and he likes to teach.
Hmm.
And but he's not for him. I don't think he's not money motivated at all on for jujitsu. So he didn't have a website. He was listed at the early when Rickson still had the the International Federation. He was listed on the website,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like he didn't advertise. He didn't go around, trying to get students. So almost for 15, maybe 20 years. Sometimes it was just a private with Dave. I'd show
Yeah.
up, nobody else was there. We'd lay down the mats.
That's
And
amazing.
then, yeah, sometimes it was, 3, 4 people, sometimes 7, but always small classes with my history with him. Um,
That
and
must
then,
have made
oh,
learning.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't, because that's the way it was, I kind of didn't know what I was getting.
Yeah.
And just kind of a side note, sometimes you feel stagnant because you've got your 4 training partner, your usual, the guys that usually always come in, and you just all are progressing and you don't notice that you're getting better,
Yes.
but you're just staying the same as everyone else. It's like, God damn, this guy always beats me, and we have these battles for hours and I'm not learning anything. And
Yeah.
then you get some blood in there, you go visit another gym and it's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm improving.
Yeah.
um yeah. And then back to my history. I uh, Probably the last 8 years, I've just been training under Rickson exclusively, and so that's been really nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like I
Yeah.
feel like I graduated college with Dave, and then I'm kind of on a PhD program with Rickson.
That's excellent. I love that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm curious, going back to like your earlier days and your childhood, do you feel like even before, people were like taking the skateboard and attacking you and stuff like that, do you feel like you had already kind of I wouldn't say nervous, but a bit of anxious disposition by nature, or did that really get,
No,
yeah,
no. It started after. Yeah, it started around my teen years, and yeah, like but no, I mean, no, not really.
yeah,
I was maybe a little bit shy. I always wore a hat, and then somehow that was like, one, my identity, and two, it was like a little protection. Yeah,
yes,
like just a shelter from the world.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but no, the anxiety started after I had gotten jumped a couple times. Yeah.
And do you feel like at some point through your training that kind of, got you back to back to not feeling that way?
Yeah, definitely. I got more confident. And then it was weird because then you're in your a little bit later teen years and you get your testosterone going,
Yeah.
and then it was like I would just look at every single body and I'd be like, how would I beat that person? Like what would
Yeah.
I I was thinking of like how would I get him? What would I do? This,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And so then it kind of switched. But I think that was with a little bit of teenage angst and testosterone, and
Yeah.
then trying to become a man, or what you would think a man is.
Sure.
And
Right.
yeah, so yeah, I've gone through just different waves of that over
Yeah.
time.
I'm always interested in that. It's just I find it fascinating because I think I have a somewhat anxious disposition by nature, and even I mean, there are days when I'm feeling good and I trained well and I clear all the bad chemicals or whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay, I feel fine, and I don't, and maybe that goes away a little bit, but I'm like, man, no matter how much training and everything I do, like I've noticed if I don't really take care of myself well, like default, I go back to just like I still hate confrontation and just any kind of like it puts me on edge. And what sucks is I have very strong opinions, so that also gets me into trouble. Strong opinions and hating confrontation don't go well together. So
Right.
yeah, it's been tough, but yeah, I'm always curious to see like, okay, did training, really can a person really change, or is it still kind of a nature, but you just handle it better? But yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting now.
Yeah, I don't know, like being active in jujitsu and training a type that works against, an onslaught or a fight or something like that, or like, being attacked. Um, the late great Richard Bressler and I were friends. And he was the very first jujitsu student in the United States. I think he started in the 70s. I don't know if you've read his book. It's called Worth Defending.
Actually, Scott
Another guy,
gave me a copy, and I just recently completed it. It was really good. Yeah.
yeah. But throughout the book, he talked about his insecurities and stuff like that, and how jujitsu helped him with it and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I guess the or I don't know the word for it, but the guy who like actually did the writing, Scott Burr.
Right.
Do you know him?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's the one that gave
yeah.
me a copy of the yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay,
met
yeah.
him
And
when I was hanging out with I was tagging along when Chris was out in Florida recently. So I met him and a bunch of the guys there, and yeah, and so that's where he gave me a copy, the audio book actually. But yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, he's a great guy. I don't know why I brought up uh kind of lost my train of thought there, but maybe it was just to say like plug his name because he's a good guy to talk to and he's got a wealth of knowledge and he trained under Steve Maxwell and who's another OG OG cat.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, it was quite the group of people that was hanging around Chris and everything when I was there. It was like the amount of talented black belts and just people, the amount of knowledge that I was surrounded with was that was intense. Yeah, a lot of good folks. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's interesting how
yeah.
they're. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we've got a good crew right now. A lot of people that I like a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was getting along with most of them until until I showed up. I might have inserted myself too much. I showed up for dinner one night at the place they were renting the VRBO or whatever it was, and Scott
Yeah,
realized that I had coordinated with some of the other guys to come over, and so I was like in the kitchen cooking stuff. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna cook a salad, like Greek salad, and do some Greek food for these guys. They're gonna be stoked, and because I'm already kind of tagging along, so I'm trying to just be useful and friendly, and and we had all hung out the night before and had dinner and stuff, and I thought everybody was cool. And like, in fact, Scott was the one that gave me the address of the place and invited me over the day before. And yeah, but he shows up after training with Rickson with Michael and comes in and just sees me in the kitchen and he's like, I think the thing they said was like, "What the hell did you just let yourself in?" And I didn't hear him well, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just making some salad, man. I hope your training went well." And like, I got a weird vibe. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, "What is happening?" Like all of a sudden, these guys, they're like getting weird on me, and yeah, I apparently like it took a while for me to get talk to him because I was a little nervous. I was getting some tension and aggression from him, and I'm like, okay, these are not the people I want mad at me, you know. And finally, I talked to him, and well, I thought you. I thought you just let yourself in, just you just showed up and nobody was here and you just got into the house and stuff. And I was like, whoa, yeah, that would have probably set my radar off too. And I'm like, who is this psycho? So yeah,
Yeah.
we had a bit of a tense moment. So I was like, should I get the fuck out of here right now? Am I about to get strangled to death? So it's yeah, it was
Yeah,
yeah.
that's got to be nerve-wracking. I'm sorry that that happened, but they're all great guys and they all have like just huge fucking hearts. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that after a while. So yeah, once we got past, I think we're good now. But yeah, Scott's one of those guys. He's a little stoic too, so he's kind of hard to read sometimes. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
is
yeah.
he angry
What
right now? Or
the
yeah,
first time I met him, there was a lot of tension. It was weird, and then everything's cool now, you know. But
yeah.
yeah, he popped in. Uh, Chris was teaching at a school in Arizona, Maynard
Oh yeah,
school, and then he popped in, and so but then it just got really awkward and tense for a little bit. And Chris and I are like, "What the fuck is happening?"
yeah,
But it was funny because people would come in, it's Maynard school, and then there's this black belt like Chris, and it's like I'm gonna fucking rip his head off, and I want like maybe Maynard will see, or like maybe I can impress people, and so Chris was fighting for his life for I think like a couple of years. Um, so we didn't know the intent. Like, and I used to fly in and teach once a month for I would come in for like a week and help teach and do classes and stuff. And I didn't, yeah. So I had the same thing. Like guys would come in and it was like, okay, this is let's go. Not fight, but I don't know what to expect. Like if it's going to be a really hard role, if it's just going to be slow. Or like, hey, will you teach me something? I can show you what I do.
yeah,
Sometimes it's really friendly like that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we didn't know Burr's intent, and
Yeah.
then yeah, so but then everything de-escalated the next time. Next time I saw him, everything was like super chill. Yeah,
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
yeah,
jiu-jitsu can get a little weird sometimes, especially when there's any sort of people question of like either trying to impress someone or hey, are you the keeper of this knowledge? Or like I did have a little bit of the feeling when hanging around the guys there. Like I knew Hickson's room was full, even though I had already talked to James about getting in with him at some other time, but I went out mostly to see Chris. But there was definitely this element of like, who the hell is this guy? And I had invited also my instructor to come out and hang because he had also been on the Hickson waiting list. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna go and like enjoy Chris's seminar, hang out with Chris and these guys, and whatever comes of it. If Hickson happens to have room while we're here, great. If he doesn't, that another time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was you could definitely feel the like, oh, who the hell are these guys? And like, are they trying to get in on our Hickson access or what's going? And I get it because you guys have formed like a tight little group too. But it's interesting how in jiu-jitsu, especially around Hickson, I feel like people get a little weird because they're trying to kind of guard this very special thing, and it's yeah, the politics and the other of it just it can get odd. So, but yeah,
Yeah. That like one thing, uh, like with celebrities, and then, but yeah, so we'll just sum it up as celebrities, whatever field you're in.
sure.
Um, it's like you got to protect them. You know what I mean? Because there are absolute vampires out there,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's also that actually like to suck the life out of artists and the creative people and things like that.
yeah,
And there are people who then they thrive off of their energy. Like what I mean? It's like they take
yeah,
their energy and that they thrive off that. And then there's people who want money. They want to just like claw their way to the top,
yeah,
things like that. It's like I lived in LA and I've worked with actors, and it's like, hey, could you do that? And I used to work for the mega famous billionaire, like at his house. He turned the guest house into one of an office, and people, hey, like, can you? I got this thing, I got an idea. Can you pitch
yeah,
it? Like, so, and then if you're the guy that lets the piece of shit in and it fucks the guy over,
yeah.
that's not good for you and it's not good for him. You know what I mean? So it is a responsibility of someone like you kind of gotta like, you gotta be a buffer.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I've been in that position a little bit myself. I mean, I knowing some folks and Joe Rogan and a few others and folks like that. So I I totally get that. So yeah, I definitely was feeling some of that. It was odd being on the other side of it. I'm like, hey man, I don't have an angle. Like I really just, like I like you guys, and I really was mostly there to see Chris. I'm like, if I get to meet Rickson someday, fantastic. I would love it. But like honestly, I really like I enjoy Chris's the way he teaches a lot and what he's doing and just as a person. And so like for me, I'm like, hey, I just want to hang out. And so but yeah, I definitely get it. But it's interesting how around Rickson people are definitely like extra guarded, and it's it's interesting how people that and in this case, like it's not like they're getting huge monetary benefit necessarily. I mean, like with somebody who's a really famous rich person, most of the people that hang around them are somehow getting some, residual of that. But I know with Rickson, it's much more of a, there's like a special mission. I almost call people like they're like you guys are like apostles or something of Rickson, because people get really once they're into that, it's like that is their so much of their mission is to get that out there and preserve it. And what do you think it is that makes it so important to you guys, despite any, not like you're gaining a lot of money necessarily by aligning yourself this way?
Well, I'll answer that question. There's something else that I wanted to say.
Sure.
When Rickson was fighting, and this was in the 90s and there wasn't the internet, and that, it was like, but it was really like, we all know that you can die in the ring. You know what I mean? Like it happens to boxers. I don't, it's never happened in the UFC, thank God. But I do know that like other MMA organizations, they've had deaths.
Mhm.
So, you are putting your life on the line. And so when you got your school and your academy, it was kind of, and then that was like back in the days with that word creanche. Like if you go train somewhere else, it's like, dude, you're sharing what we have with that, like possibly the enemy,
Yeah.
maybe, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you show them what we do, they figure out what I'm going to do, and then I get knocked out, and whatever. So it's kind of like this is our thing.
Hmm.
And then, the Americans don't necessarily feel that way. They're like, you have every right to buy the best product and it's your money. So go get customer service because you're paying for it. So it
Hmm.
was a little different. And then with the advent of the internet and videos and stuff like that, everything's loosened up. But so I think that was the beginning stage. It's like, it's us versus them. And
Yeah.
then, you want your school to be the best, obviously.
Hmm.
And then Rickson disappeared. His son died and he had every right to, go on his, journey and stuff like that. And then so there was a time where he wasn't teaching. I don't know exactly how many years that was, but it was a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
And then now his slogan is jiu-jitsu for everyone. And
Yeah.
I think he realized, fuck, there was a long time where I didn't share what I had figured out.
Yeah.
And so he's on a mission of teaching teachers right now. And he wants, he always says like, the big strong guy doesn't necessarily need jujitsu.
Right.
It's people like you and skateboarder Jack, who, 15-year-old kid that's in anxiety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, the smaller, like a smaller woman, or some, things like that.
Yeah.
That's a really, really important mission. And so we all have, I think the guys that are doing in this group, I think we all resonate with that quite a bit.
Mhm.
And I don't think any of us would mind training an MMA fighter. In fact, there's a guy named Darian. He runs a school called Momentum Jiu-Jitsu. I was actually going to wear his shirt today, but I decided to be a little bit preppy because I'm going to go out in the town and go shopping and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm wearing his pants right now. He gave me these awesome joggers.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, but he's a high level striker. He's a fucking legit black belt. He
Mhm.
has a personal connection with Rickson, and then he trains MMA fighters. His younger brother, he's now becoming. I think I don't know if he had his pro fight or he's just about to have his pro fight, but so I think all of us we're not opposed to any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we do definitely want to share jujitsu that works for the smaller, weaker person to actually defend themselves.
Yeah.
And then really interesting is that Rickson, he said like jujitsu is evolving so fast. There's all this new stuff. But he's like, if you can understand that these principles, you can use them to unravel what they're doing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so he's like, you're gonna have to invent your own stuff. That I did. My father did. Like so and then jujitsu's evolving, so you're gonna have to learn how to apply connection,
Mm.
base, weight distribution, being in the middle, controlling the middle, da 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 da.
Yeah.
So I think he's just at a point where he knows that if he doesn't do what he can as fast as he can, it could be lost. And
Yeah.
he really develops some absolutely incredible jujitsu.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And I'm,
Yeah.
I'm super glad that you guys are around and getting it out there and helping preserve it. Because yeah, I think that's once you experience it, it's yeah, it's something that I know once I did, it was like, oh, this needs to be, yeah, it can't go away, it can't just disappear. It would be a real tragedy. So yeah, for all the reasons you mentioned there,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and he even said a lot of his black belts are no longer teaching his jujitsu. They're
Mhm.
off in like competition land, and like they're not teaching. They're just teaching the new hottest and coolest stuff. You
Yeah.
know, so it's kind of like shit. It's already being lost. Let me teach some teachers. Yeah, people who still are on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good thing, and it's good because even the places that I think have tried to stick with that, they could still, use a good, injection of just bringing that back again, or some of the stuff that I mean, he's obviously refined things over the years, and the things that he's doing now may be, even more effective and better than what some of his black belts might have learned, back 20 years ago or something. Yeah.
It's ever evolving. I'll tell you that for sure. Like Dave, I can't tell you how many times Dave goes, "Yeah, he never taught it like that before," or like, "Oh, he explains that much better now." But the
Yeah.
way I look at it is, Kano and those guys gave a lifetime of learning, and
Hmm.
then Elio got his hands on it, and he had a lifetime of whatever, and he got to pass that on to his children.
Yeah.
And Hickson's he's not a lifetime yet, but he's had a 60 something years. I don't know how old he is, but
Yeah.
of developing that, you
Yeah.
know. And
Right.
it's funny. I was talking to one of his black belts, and he split from Gracie Torrance,
Hmm.
um, and um, he's in America, and we got D1 fucking wrestlers, we got Olympic wrestlers, and they didn't necessarily have that in Brazil.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was. I think it was Fabio Gurgel against Mark Kerr. He was
Mm.
watching that fight, and he was like, "What the fuck would I do in that situation?"
Yeah.
And he goes, and then I think it was Hoxton. He was like, "Hoxton to the garage,"
Yeah.
because he had Matt there. So
Yeah.
okay, what if you did that? And then you're just figuring out how a smaller person could deal with that type of ground and pound and mauling and such solid base and top control, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like he went, and he's like, I gotta figure more stuff out, you know? And he was obviously already a phenom, but then the development, and it's funny. I didn't see the interview, but I watched another podcast with someone who knows James Driscoll, who's Hickson's full
Hmm.
time
Right.
Ukian assistant
Right.
for privates.
Hmm.
Um, for the people who are watching who might not know,
Sure.
but this guy said that James said, and I haven't gone over this with James yet, so
Mhm.
forgive me if I'm wrong. But he goes, now that Rickson, one, he's older, and he says I'm at like 10% of the physicality of what I used to have,
Yeah.
and he's got palsy, right? So Driscoll, per this guy, said his jujitsu is actually getting better
Yeah.
because he's now weaker and can't rely on the physical attributes and stuff like that, and his back's messed up and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Right.
Two hip replacements, etc.
Yeah.
Um, so he's like he's further developing it, more refined, less effort, stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, that's one of the things that I've been really interested to see what's going to come out of that is exactly for that because I talked to James about that too, and I thought, oh God, he's right. Like that's good.
Was James on your podcast, or do
Yes.
you just talk to? Oh,
Yeah, no,
okay.
I had him on my
Oh, okay.
podcast, and then it's funny, James and I we had somehow missed each other in weird ways so many times, and this like I can't believe we didn't meet earlier. Like I had trained at a gym that he was teaching at for a minute when he was up in Oregon, and he had like and he was like growing a weed farm and stuff too. So we had some sort of connection there with the hemp thing. And anyhow, so I had trained there, but somehow I'd missed him by just like maybe a month or two. And then I moved back to my hometown from there, which is like a tiny little place, the San Ynez Valley, Solvang area. Lived there for years, wasn't really training because there wasn't a gym there for a while. Eventually there was, and actually it's the gym that he eventually became affiliated with, but he moved there like he moved there with his wife maybe like a few months after I had left there again, and it was like we kept like we had all these
Yeah.
super common interests and common friends even, and it was like how did I not run into this guy? So anyway, yeah, so I
Yeah.
had him on. It's yeah, he's a good dude, so we've been in touch since then. But yeah, I'm very interested in yeah, what's coming out now, especially yeah with Hickson State, but with all of his knowledge to adapt his jiu-jitsu to something. I mean, he's probably more like the physical, maybe less than the physicality level of that where Elio was at, and but with all that knowledge and yeah, that especially certainly as I get older and I have a bad back and hips and everything else too, so I'm quite interested in learning a jiu-jitsu that's effective even considering all those things and getting older and whatnot. So yeah, I find that really fascinating.
Yeah. It's funny. James Driscoll and I, it's funny. We talked for such a long time before I actually finally, last time I went down to see Hickson a few months ago. Then we finally met and we're chit chatting. It was like, same thing. Like, how the heck did we not run into each other? And I was like, I was at that tournament. I'm like, I have a photo of me there. Like, look. And he's like, dude, I'm right there. Like, how did we not meet? And then a bunch of mutual friends through the Hickson network and
Yeah,
just jujitsu in general and all that stuff.
yeah,
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah,
It's interesting
it's
when it
been
all comes together. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's working out now, and I like it. I'm supposed to see Hickson at the end of the month and do 3 days with him, but I might need to reschedule because I got invited to Kenya and then Portugal and Athens, Greece. So I'm like, oh, I have this just opportunity right now where I can see the world, which I hadn't before,
Yeah.
So this has been very nice to travel Europe. And
Yeah.
then uh yeah, so I'm like I'm gonna have to call him and see if I can just
Yeah.
move it.
Sit
But
around.
then also I've got this brief, I don't know how brief or not, opportunity to train with Master Hickson.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's like fuck, it's like
Now. That's a
yeah,
tough one. Yeah, yeah, we don't
yeah,
know how much more time he has and everything. Yeah, so that's excuse me.
yeah,
I'm definitely hoping to get in there and pay my respects and meet the man before he gets to a point where he's done doing that. So yeah, it's an interesting situation, but yeah, it is good that you guys are out there, yeah, spreading the word and the teachings, and yeah, like how speaking of that, like when you were learning, especially when you were coming up in jiu-jitsu, how did you learn? I mean, how did you feel like what was maybe the thing that helped you really learn better to put things together and to move along? I mean, I don't know how long it took you to say get to your black belt, how many years of training, but do
17, and there were, like I said, there was breaks and stuff like that, but it
yeah,
was 17. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Was there anything that you changed maybe along the way about how you trained or the way you looked at it that you feel kind of really helped get you through some things? 'Cause I know for some of us who are especially still like I've been training quite a while, but I'm still, lower belt and it's getting better, but there are definitely days where you just hit that black belt and getting to that level of just really better understanding just seems so far away. I mean, I'm certainly better than I ever was, and I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel now. But there were days, especially early on, where I just thought, man, I'm never really going to be good at this. Like I could spend the rest of my life, and I am never going to understand this well because my brain just doesn't like it. But certain things helped. But I'm curious if anything in particular, helped you.
I'm gonna think about an answer to that, but I do want to say that I've definitely gone through just waves of interest and disinterest, or like not as important. It's always been it's like it's in my DNA, like period.
Yeah.
It will always be in my DNA. But but there's been different like interest activity levels,
Hmm.
and then sometimes it's like me, I want to learn, learn, learn. And then sometimes it's like, dude, I just want to teach and give this to other people. So I've gone through just many, many phases of that.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I really wanted to compete and I would compete and stuff.
Hmm.
And then, you get kind of bored of it and it's the same old thing. And then you're with the same old guys all the time.
Yeah.
And, things kind of plateau. You don't feel like you're getting, like you said, like, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to ever get to the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, which
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone ever will, to
Well,
be
true,
honest.
right?
Yeah.
It's a never-ending journey. Yeah.
Exactly. You can always get better at everything else. When I got my black belt, the first thing I wanted to do was get the white belt moves
Hmm.
up to a black belt level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny. Uh, I don't know what degree this was. Maybe this is like 8 years ago. What was so cool was when Rickson teaches, he treats a white belt the same as a coral belt.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's no. Here, do it to me. Let me do it to you. I want you to feel this. And
Yeah.
it's very one-on-one in contact. It's like you're a paying customer and I'm here to help you improve. That is my job. I'm
Yeah.
going to do my job. And
Hmm.
if he doesn't feel like doing it, he'll just, I cancel, or like, I'm not showing up today, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
kind of operates at 100% or no, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Going through, interest, teach. So I was up at he was covering for Crone Academy two
Hmm.
times a week. He did that for about a year,
Yeah.
and on Mondays and Wednesdays. And but so he would teach a full class, and then sometimes he would roll with people, and then sometimes he would just sit and watch. But he was always so approachable. If you had the balls to talk to him, if you got over your own like nervousness,
Hmm.
um, you go talk to him. Hey, I'm like, fuck, man, like my mount sucks. Like I always get this or that. This happens, or I can't finish in this, and I'd rather be cross-eyed. Let me see
Yeah.
here. So, and that was while everyone's rolling during the after class during like just open mat.
Hmm.
And he just gave a 30-minute private to me just out of because he wanted to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was real interesting. Another thing too, I was like, Rickson, another time on the side of the mat, and this is before we became as close as we are now. Um, I can call him and, or shoot him a text and I'll get a response and stuff. And I'm allowed at the house for the privates and things like that.
Hmm.
But he knew who I was because I'm a Dave Kama student, or, I would have the Kama patch and he's like, okay, your extended family or what have you.
Hmm.
And uh, I was like, how did you come up with this? And he kind of gave me like the forget like the just the standard answer that you're supposed to say. Oh, I do what my daddy teaches, and leverage and stuff like that. And a smaller guy can beat a bigger guy. So, that's what I teach. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not what everyone is teaching. Your family doesn't teach, no one in your family teaches this.
Yeah.
None of your brothers do. This is different. And he kind of was like, well, like the UPA, for example, the
Hmm.
Virgin Roll.
Yeah.
He's like, I started thinking about it like an engineer. And it's like I realized doing it this way and then this way is, you're stopping the energy, you're changing the angle, or you're changing and it's like instead of like just flowing and going that way, it's
Uh,
like you go to a stoplight
yeah.
and then you turn and then you go that way.
Yeah.
He's like, I realized you lose energy. So I was thinking of like maybe like a bridge. How can I make the longest, strongest structure with no breaks in the energy? And I figured out this, you know,
Mhm.
it's funny because he's always thinking and seeing stuff. I
Yeah.
was at his house one time doing a private when he was in California. He's like, Jack, what would you do in this situation? I'm like, I'd probably like this. And he goes, can I show you what I think I figured out that I think is right? I was watching the UFC and they got in this position and I was like, God, what would I do?
Yeah.
And so just like when he was watched Mark Kerr and Fabio Gurgel, okay, let's figure this out. Or Hoxton, let's, come here, let's figure this out. So it's
Mhm.
like, this is what I would like, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
And then what would you do? Okay. And then like, do it to me. He's like, okay, I think this is right. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
he's not like I'm the only right thing in this universe. And he's always, oh gosh, I've never seen that position before. How would I handle, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, and I think in some ways that's the competency and the vision, I guess, that in some ways for me that's what I'm when I think of like excelling and learning how to learn. I'm trying to get to that point of, oh, when I look at something, I could go, oh, how would I approach that conceptually instead of, and I think that's where my jujitsu's gotten better is the more I can feel that instead of looking at it and going, oh, what move do I need to do here? Do I need to apply this technique, that technique, and break it up? It's like I do much better when I can go, oh, well, what's going on here? Oh, it looks like they're off base here. Well, in that case, I would probably do this. And the more I can do that in my head, the more I feel like I'm having a better grasp of jujitsu, and it's not so frustrating. Whereas I know, and that's kind of new to me, honestly. Even just not that long ago, I was still stuck in the mode of like someone would show something and I'd go, I'm never going to be able to learn that move. That seems crazy. I couldn't put the connection, and I just wasn't, it was just a matter of like, oh, there's a whole bunch of moves, and I can't possibly get that into my dictionary or my, collection of things. And I still run into that a little bit every now and then, but most of the time I can look at just about anything now and at least have a very basic, low level conceptual understanding of how that works and how I could apply it. I think the only time I ran into some troubles, I was at a 10 planet seminar with my buddies, Boogie and Geo and stuff, and he was showing like bear trap, no, matrix to bear trap, and I was like, oh, I'm hitting that edge of my knowledge again where I can't apply my concepts because this is really complicated. But a little time I would have figured it out. But yeah, as far as like really learning, that's what I would love to get to is a point where, yeah, I understand it enough that I could look at anything and sort of start to find a way to understand it and break it down and how would that fit into a game and all of that.
Yeah. I've gone to, many seminars over the years, and I'm like, I can't do that with my legs, and I'm worried about my knees exploding. Some of the, the rubber guard stuff.
Right.
And then, or just the twirly stuff and inverting and like,
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't
And
remember.
it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you said you're starting to have back and I think you said knee problems or knee problems or whatever. So it's like you you gotta you gotta protect yourself,
Yeah,
protect yourself at all times.
yeah,
But I've gone to seminars where I'm like, okay, that I can use. So that's the one thing that I'm gonna
yeah,
use in this I could take away from the seminar. Everything else was like, fuck that, you
yeah.
know.
Right.
Um, not to say that you shouldn't or it's wrong or anything like that, and it will work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think I don't think there's a single person on this planet who doesn't feel what you just said. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like that was really complicated. I don't know, and then you don't have to put it in your game.
Yeah.
And it's that like
Right.
that Bruce Lee quote of like, um, like I don't fear the guy that knows 1,000 kicks. I fear the guy that's done that kick 1,000 times.
Times. Yeah.
And Rickson's jujitsu, it's very profound and it's very deep, but it's very very basic. You know what I mean? And it like when you get the fundamentals in, and that you understand the weight distribution in each position,
Hmm.
and then how to mess up their weight distribution, take away their connection, um, just take away their leverage and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's what you're doing on the bottom line level. But it's really, he's got like, I don't know. I'm just gonna just say I've got 5 moves that I do um, from cross side or side control or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
Um, I do them very, very, very well. And then you get guys like Eric Paulson, and there's nothing wrong with knowing 50,000 moves, from side control.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm at this point in time, I'm not going to absorb another,
Yeah.
10,000 moves or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, so there's nothing wrong with the state of being that you're in. But I think that your pursuit of knowledge right now, I think it's a good thing. And then trying to um, it was funny. Training with Dave for 20 years, I ended up getting into the lull, but then I wanted to start teaching,
Hmm.
and so that was exciting for me. So I wanted to learn
Yeah.
how to teach, you
Hmm.
know, and then started training with Rickson, and that just reinvigorated me. And it was like, oh, there's a whole new world that I can apply to what I already know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I could just level up.
Hmm.
So that was really exciting. Just, that mount. And I've had people come over and visit, and then, I end up mounting them, and they're like, "Dude, I've never felt a mount like that,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so it's like, that was different. Can I take a private? Or like, what did you do? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, come to the next class. I'll probably end up teaching it, or like sign up, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
But
love.
I don't run a school. I just do privates and seminars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to ask you more about the teaching, but
Mhm.
uh, one thing I was thinking about is so when you were coming up on your way to black belt and to where you are now, did you did you feel like you kind of stayed just in that realm of fundamentals? Like where did you decide to sort of stop adding more techniques? Because I know there's
At
definitely
black belt.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's when I was like, I want to get all the white belt moves up
Mhm.
to a black belt level. You
Yeah.
know, I
Going
just
back,
taught.
would you change, like would you just cut out some of the things that you did learn and say, you know what, I could keep all, do all those white belt things and just start developing that early on and ignore, a lot of extra things? Or do you think it's important to go through that phase of kind of exploring
Well,
everything?
I think the experimental stage is important, but
Hmm.
for me, because like my main instructor, my three instructors in my life, Pedro Sauer, Rickson Black Belt,
Hmm.
David Kama. I got my blue belt from Pedro Sauer.
Okay.
Sorry, I was gonna, this, and then I was going to go number two.
Yeah.
Number two,
Yeah.
Kama. So he was huge on the basics, huge on the Rickson stuff.
Yeah.
But one thing that is cool about him is he always goes, guys, this is what people are doing, or like, there's this video out right now. We need to play with it. We need to learn it a bit so we can stop it. Or if you want to incorporate it in your game, go for it. That's
Yeah.
up to you. But then that he kind of gave the responsibility of you and your curiosity. Um,
Hmm.
over to you on that one.
Yeah.
But and then when I hit black belt, that I was just like, I want my basics in. I mean, you look at Hodger Gracie,
Oh yeah.
his game's not complicated. You
Oh.
know what he's going to do? He's going
Hmm.
to foot sweep you. You're going to end up in his cross, maybe half guard, but then he's going to pass to cross side. He's going to mount you, and you're going to get collar choked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
he does that at the highest level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love that.
and same thing, close guard. He's going to armbar you or take your back, or like just do a basic choke.
Yeah.
So the as I was saying earlier, like the not being able to do a 10th planet wiggle ziggity guard with a
Yeah.
crack control and a bear
Right.
paw. And I'm not talking shit about them.
Oh,
And I
sure.
actually I do think a mistake that was made by maybe Elia and stuff like that, or the Brazilians, is they didn't name everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that one arm bar where you're in the guard, but then the guy reaches over like this. So it's like, no, you're gonna have to come over and show me, or next time we're on the
Right.
mat, I'll talk about it. Because
Right.
no, you know the one. I saw you do it. You know the one, like the guy with your left arm, he grabs his right arm, but then you do the thing with the leg.
Right.
What thing with the leg? So
Yeah.
with judo, it's like every position, every move has a formal name. You
Uh,
know,
yeah. Yeah, I
and
noticed Chris mentioned that where he was giving some credit to 10th Planet for, how it is like named out so well. So when you go, hey, no, 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 I want you to go from the truck to this, to that, and that. And I and
yeah,
and I use,
it,
some of the 10th Planet stuff too. And it actually when I was trying to teach people some rubber guard basics, it was very helpful to be like, okay, now you're in Chill Dog, now you're in New York. And no matter how silly the names are, it's nice because it makes it easier to learn that way. That is something they did
yeah,
well.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, and having too much vocabulary is better than having no vocabulary. So you can communicate easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I forget the other point that we were on. Oh, it was like about you said you wanted to ask about
well,
teaching,
yeah, and
and
about
then
yeah. I mean, like what? At what point did you decide? I don't know if you always thought you wanted to teach, but like I know for myself, I know I'm sure I would selfishly, I would probably it would be good for me to teach, but I definitely have a hard time getting up in front of people, and I'm not sure that's something I ever. I mean, eventually, I'm sure it's a thing that I will want to do just because I will want to share maybe what I've learned, but it does not come naturally, and I definitely I struggle with the idea of ever getting up in front of a whole class and trying to actually, really teach something. It's so I'm just wondering like how did that come about for you and what was the process like?
Um, well, I started teaching at
Hmm.
at Kama Jiu-Jitsu, so at
Yeah.
Dave's. And so they were all my friends and people I've known for a long time. So that made it easier,
Yeah.
so that was a good entry point.
Hmm.
You could teach it just like with just like a small semi-private, or just maybe start teaching privates. I don't know if you've ever done that, but do it. And
Yeah.
then and then you can get bigger and bigger groups. There's times where I've had 100 people in a seminar, and then there's like here right now, I'm teaching these small classes. It's like 4 people, but I think the highest belt is a purple belt.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's like I know more than you. So let me just help you guys on this move. Let me give you some details that you might not know, or you're missing, or not
Hmm.
applying. So you can maybe ease into it that way. I was gonna make a joke. No, you just imagine that everyone's naked.
Right.
Remember, like
Sure, the
with public
classic thing.
speaking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah,
This is already weird, but
yeah. Let's just make it weirder. Fuck it. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, you could start small and expand into that. You could probably fuck that. What's that organization called? Toastmasters. You
Yeah,
know,
I keep thinking about
they just
that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I would love to do that. With my job, I do financial planning, but I used to do talks on like Social Security or stuff like that. But
Uh,
I'd get a group full of people, and then you get more used to it. You get more comfortable. You get used to hecklers, or like people who just want to antagonize you, or like I know more than you and stuff like that.
yeah.
You just get used to all of it. It
Yeah.
was funny. I taught a seminar. I forget where I was, and I was in London, and big brute of a guy. I could tell he was like kind of like no bestie or whatever, meaning like I know best.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
he's like, well, what else could you do from that position? I was like, well, come here, you can do that. And bam, I throw on this like super tight choke on him, and I throw a loop choke on him, and I put a little pressure, and he's like, how did you do that? So I taught the class that, because at the end I was like, for 30 minutes, we're going to open it up to any question about anything.
Yeah.
First, let's cover what we covered in class. Now let's just open it up to anything that you have. The
Yeah.
guy was like, well, what would you do if I did this? And I'm like, okay, then you would have to transition to that next question. But then this guy, I could just tell he was like, I'm gonna be the big swinging dick.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so I show him the move, then I teach the move the whole class. We drill a couple times, and he's like, "Can I do that to you?" I was like, "No." Okay, next question. It's like you learn how to, you figure out how to deal with those guys, and everyone cracked up.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because the black belt who was hosting me, when we were leaving, he's like, dude, that's so funny because he always does that, and he likes to crank it on people and like whatever. You like put him in his place. That was perfect. But I did it with like a laugh and a smile. I don't think he felt bad, but he was kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like going back to if people ask you to roll. It's like, no, I don't want to roll with you.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
I don't. You don't have to, especially at your age.
Right.
And with it looks like you have how much do you weigh?
160.
Okay, all right. So you're not particularly small, but there's probably a lot of people in the gym that are bigger than you.
Yeah,
So you
definitely
have
younger, bigger, stronger.
exactly.
Yeah.
And with competition mode, it's like it's 100% all the time. So you don't have to train with those guys.
Yeah. Right.
When you were younger, and what belt are you? You're black.
No, I'm a high level blue belt that's been training
Oh,
since like 2005, but with a break. But yeah, I'm probably who knows? I've got to be close to purple at this point. But I've been a blue belt for about 3.5 years. But I'd say, oh no, sorry, almost 4.5. The first 3.5, I probably didn't train intelligently, so wasn't learning terribly well. But I was getting tough and hurting myself.
right. And getting tough is important.
Sure.
And Rickson always says you gotta learn how to find comfort in health.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
he told me a story. I think it was in his first book, Breathe, um, where I'm the Gracie, I'm this, but he was a teenager,
Yeah.
and I put him in a headlock. He ended up tapping. You never tap to a headlock. like that was kind of the mindset. And he got really claustrophobic, and he's I tap tap tap, and he was kicking himself about it. And he was like, "Okay, Holtz, I need you to roll me up in this carpet and don't let me out after this amount of time."
Yeah.
So you learn to get tough, face your fears, but find comfort in hell.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you need it. And how old are you? Do you mind me asking?
49, almost 50. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
old
I'm
enough.
like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you've got 20 years of training with
Yeah.
breaks,
I think so.
so that's a lot of time to accumulate injuries and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then just even through life, not just jujitsu,
Right. Yeah.
slip and fall and you put a huge bone chip in your arm, or you're going skiing and you fucking break something, like,
Sure.
it happens.
Yeah.
So, but you need to, like, you need to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But the one cool thing and unfortunately and fortunately, Rickson has a bunch of injuries. So the way he developed some of this stuff, you don't put yourself in compromised positions,
Yeah. Yeah.
because thank God somebody went through it, Rickson,
Right. Yeah.
and then figured out, okay, if I do it this way, I don't put myself in a compromised position. I can still make it work. I
Yeah.
don't invert. I don't get stacked. So
Right.
it's like, and then, I can show you several different ways that you cannot stand up in my guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I can keep a close guard. You try to get up, no. You know what I mean? So I remember the only reason I brought that one up is because someone stood up in the guard, and the guy didn't open his legs or do something different. He just went up with them.
Yeah.
So he put himself in a very compromised position.
Right.
So let's figure out, one, if you are in a compromised position, how to handle it, or
Mhm.
two, how to not let that happen in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, and that's definitely something that I've been trying to learn, through Chris and through a lot of you guys, and also like previously through Henry a lot, because I talked to him about that. I was like, man, like I want to keep doing this again, but it's like, it's making all my hip and back problems get way worse, and I was, because I was still getting stacked, and I still had, being all those years of training and mostly just learning how to be tough, I was like, I shouldn't have a problem rolling with bigger, heavier guys. I shouldn't, like I have the will to train twice a day, so why, what's the issue here? But yeah, luckily through the sort of Rickson teachings coming down from all you guys, it's, I am finding ways now to, like, okay, like you said, like always be safe, like figure out how not to get stacked. Like that one's huge for me, because it would, I played, I think more than any part of my game, I developed close guard early on. And so that was always my big tool. But that also can put you in a lot of bad spots, especially when people decide, oh, I'm just going to stack my way out of this or something, when you go to throw up a triangle or whatnot. So yeah, I've
But
been,
so the way that you're throwing up the triangle is probably, and the way you're executing the triangle, you're getting, like, even, have you seen Rickson teach the armbar?
I don't think I've seen him specifically teach that, not directly. No.
Because it's online.
Yeah.
He's taught it on a bunch of the seminars that have been published online.
Hmm.
But the way he throws it up, the standard way that they teach it, you bring the leg up, or you put the foot on the hip, you bite the knee,
Yeah.
you obviously have control of the arm, and
Hmm.
then you bring the knee up into the shoulder. But
Right.
the way that you do that, you're instantly stackable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way he does it, he throws it up, but his spine's completely straight the whole time.
Hmm.
And the way that he uses his legs, you can't stack them and you can't get away. So and also the more steps there are to a move, the
Yeah.
more places you can stop it.
Yeah.
So, like, the rear naked choke. Sorry, I'm getting off on a bit of a tangent, but the rear naked choke. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Well, that was 4 spots you could stop it.
Yeah.
So if you just went 1, 2,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hand of the face. 5. There's
Right.
5 spots where you could get it. So that it's stoppable in 5 spots.
Yeah.
But then also, the way that you did it, you put yourself in a vulnerable position in the first place.
Hmm.
So at the end of this, I'll try to find a link where he teaches it
That'd be
and
good.
why he teaches it that way.
Probably similar to, I did see Chris, there's one video where he was teaching what I think might be some of that. And it was
It's
interesting because
gotta
yeah, it
be.
was a very
Yeah.
different angle. It was like, oh, they can't stack you because you're off. And oddly enough, like me and the other, like there's another purple belt at another, I'm not there yet. Anyhow, our purple belt at the gym, and he was like, hey man, did you see that armbar that Chris was showing? He's like, I've never seen anything like I that was really interesting. And yeah, none of
That's
us.
what he's doing about. From the guard.
Yeah, yeah, it was from the
Yeah,
guard.
you show up, throw up a shoulder guard, but your spine's straight. You're pushing him away with your leg, and then you throw the leg over.
Yeah.
That's the Hickson
Okay,
armbar
so
from.
yeah, and I meant that was actually on my list. There were a whole bunch of things I wanted to ask Chris about when I was there, and his I did get to go over a lot of them, but unfortunately I didn't get to that one, and then I spent a little time on the better triangle without getting stacked, but I
That's
wish I would
great.
have had more time to drill that because I've been trying to recreate it here, and I'm like, no, I missed some details because I'm still not able to keep people from coming in and stacking. But I mean, that's why it's what you guys are doing is so great and important because it's like you can teach things like that, and it's, I mean, man, without that being there, I might have never run into that and always be getting stacked and injured. So
Yeah, that's the Hickson triangle, and you can't get punched in the face.
yeah.
You don't get stacked. And what you're doing, so what you want to have is you want to connect to your opponent, right?
Mhm.
In whatever position you're in, you want connection,
Right.
which we can talk about what connection is if you want. You want to have good weight distribution. You want to have good base.
Hmm.
So if you think about it, well, it's like, well, how can I mess up your posture? How can I screw up your weight distribution? Take away your base. So if you figure out a way to use those principles to take that from the opponent, that's a good jujitsu, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if I can keep my base and my balance and whatever my all the different things, and then take away from that all those things from you, you're in a very vulnerable position, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that triangle with the weight on the back of the neck,
Yeah.
and then keeping your spine straight and not having to get way over to the side where you get punched in the face.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
those are, so you're keeping all your things together, but you're taking away their posture, you're
Yeah.
breaking their balance forward, and then yeah, they don't have a connect. I don't know if connection is well. Anyway, there's the way that you shift your hips to the side.
Hmm.
There's all these things that you can do, but you have all that, and you took all that away from the opponent.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And that one I've got to really, really keep going over the details on because when I was doing it correctly when we were drilling it, it was like, oh, this is amazing and this is great. This is what I needed for since forever. And but yeah, it's sometimes in the details you really need to go over them carefully and with time. So but it's good stuff. I love that. And I like how much emphasis he spends on just the basic, yeah, the concepts, the like you said, the base, the weight distribution, the connection. I think for me, the connection is the part where that's the one where I probably need the most work. The base concept made sense to me really well even from early on, but I started at an SBG gym, so they were already kind of, they're about the fundamentals and a bit of, the Hickson teachings coming down, Matt Thornton, the head of it, being under Chris Howder and also spending some time with Hickson. So some of that was there, and I remember I just loved that, and that was something I carried from day one all the way through. And even when I'd go train at, like, I'd go to a 10th planet and say hi to some friends there, and it was neat to be the guy with the best base in the room, even just because that was something I had spent some time on, and they don't really necessarily teach that. Some guys figure it out, but it's not a fundamental core concept necessarily that they go over, depending on which one you're at, I guess. But it was nice to go, oh, hey, look how this works against all these things that I don't understand. Like you said, if you get some basic good concepts, you can then kind of break down all the different moves that people are trying to do, and how to deal with them, which is really, it's good knowledge to have.
Yeah. And then to be honest, there's people who use those words that don't actually understand it,
Yeah.
or and so you got to watch out for that too. But
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Sometimes you just have to, you really got to feel it. Like, I mean, the first time that I thought I understood weight distribution and pressure a little bit until, Henry stuck me in Soul Stealer and I went, oh, this is a different world. Like
Yeah,
that is
right.
something. So
Yeah, yeah. With just the being in the proper position, you're not overcommitted in any direction, and
yeah,
that weight, and that you can just take the life out of them.
it's
And then you start to panic and make mistakes, and then you have the submissions that they just give to you, or they just tap to the pressure.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
so like even that word pressure, there's two, like Rickson uses pressure, but two different ways.
hmm
There's actually so this is my understanding. I've had to come up with these definitions on my own,
hmm
but I feel like I'm accurate on it. But there's two pressures. There's pressure as in weight,
mm,
being heavy,
right.
that pressure,
Yeah.
tiring them out because you're always carrying their weight. You're always that. But then there's pressure because you're always attacking and moving and making
Yes.
them
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And
Right.
so then it's just like, and finally they break.
Yeah.
So there's that pressure too. It's not like because I you could
Definitely two
you
different
could
things. Yeah.
yeah, but it's the same word, but it's two different things.
Yeah.
So man, I kept the pressure on him, and then he finally made a mistake. Or I was really I know where to put my weight. The pressure was heavy on all the spots that he was trying to move. I was able to counter because I put the pressure there.
Yeah.
So same word, two different definitions.
Right. Right.
The middle. So there's controlling the middle, and then there's being in the middle.
hmm
So controlling the middle, like things, if they have to go around in a long way, you can control the middle distance. If you can control the distance between you and the person,
hmm
or like being on the inside of stuff,
hmm
that's being you're controlling this middle zone, right? But then there's being in the middle. Like if you're on cross-side on top and you're too low, it's easy to move them over. If you're too far this way, you can take them over. If you're too
hmm
far this way, you can get out.
Yeah.
But if you can find this Rickson, there's a 1 inch spot.
Yeah.
And whenever I teach it, I have them find that Rickson's like there's literally a 1 inch square.
Yeah.
Then if you're there and your weight is there, man, it gives them hell.
Yeah.
And then also usually when like if you're in a position, you can create. You're in the middle. You didn't go full down one route, but you were here in the middle of these three options. They
hmm
close off those two doors. You go through that one.
mm
So you're never overcommitted in any direction. You're in the middle. And
Yeah.
that's why Chris has the term, he named his 0 point. That's
Yeah.
his academy,
Uh-huh.
because you could be at plus 10, where let's say I'm leaning forward too much. So you pull me, and it's like, what? So then I go to plus 50 and I fall on my face, or I'm at minus 10 and you push me and I fall over. But
Mm.
if you're in the middle at a 0 point, a neutral point,
Yeah.
if a pressure comes, you can react to it. If a pull comes, you can react to it. So you never overcommitted.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, good.
so
I was wondering
yeah,
what the name. I know I've heard him reference it a few times, and obviously the name is Academies, but I figured it was something like that, but that's good to have that explained. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then he's got the Stonewater Way. God, it sounds like you're following Chris quite a bit now.
Yes.
But Rickson, he has a drill just on checking, like speaking of being in the middle. If you're for posture, standing posture, you could be too high, you could be squatting too low. But if you're in the middle, you find that point where if someone pulls, you can react. Someone lifts, you can react. But
Yeah.
if you know if you're too far committed this way or that way, no good. If your knees are too bent, or you're too far forward or too far back, you could
Yeah.
be, but you want to find the middle.
Yes.
Your legs can be perpendicular to each other and really wide, and it's good for pressure this way, that way. But if you pull me or push me, I'm fucked.
Right.
But if your legs are here, more like a karate stance,
hmm
you can play tug of war and push and pull, and
Yeah.
you're really good. But the second a sideways motion goes, you're like on a tight wire. It's like you're gonna
Right.
fall off.
Right.
But Rickson said he sort of figured this concept out, um, that what's the middle? Where can I be in a position where I can react to any force that comes because I'm not overcommitted?
Yeah.
He was on the bus as a kid, and he would go to school and he had the goal to never have to grab the handle. And he would just, learn the balance of shit. My feet are too narrow, and I kept falling over that way. Let me change it so I don't fall sideways. Puts on the brakes, and he's like,
Yeah.
falling forward or accelerates too much.
Yeah.
So, and then it was funny. He said, he told the story. He figured out where his feet should be. He'd have his books, and he's sitting there, and it's a game he would play. And then he would see the bus driver would see what he was doing in the mirror, like in the rear view, and like start messing with him. And Rickson's like, fuck you. And the guy's like, ha. So, but he figured out where the middle was.
Yeah.
Standing.
Yeah.
You're too tall, too low, too this way,
Yeah.
and then too far forward, too upright.
Yeah.
So that is the middle also.
Yeah.
And then connection to me, you can kind of define it in 4 different ways. 2 of them are the same, but I want to make them a little bit distinct.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking out all the slack.
Mm.
So if you've got a choke and you're trying to grab here and here, it's really wide, and then you pull, you're not going to get it. But just curling the wrist there and connecting, you take out all the slack of the fabric.
Yeah.
And then, so taking out the slack before you go, or like in closed guard, a lot of people's closed guard sucks because they're not attached to the person. There's all this slack with your legs around them. So you move 2 feet and they bump an inch.
Yeah.
But if you were connected to them, you take out all the slack, you, with a little pinch of your legs, if you move an inch, they move an inch. If you move 2 feet, they move 2 feet. So then like part B of that definition is it's like you are attached to their skeletal frame, versus like I can grab your gi, but it's super loose.
Yes.
If I grab here and take the slack out, now this is attached to my neck. It's actually attached to my physical neck. So if there's any pull, it's like I'm instantly attached to your physical structure.
Yeah.
But then I also have to be attached here, because if you move forward and then you're not attached, like it's like I bump, so I get the momentum forward and I hit you and you move. So I have to take the slack out here and here.
Yeah.
Boom. And so if you come at me, bro, I'm already there to stop you. If you like, I gotta get away. I'm like, I already got you.
Yeah.
So that is a connection, right?
Yeah.
And then your body connects to itself. So your body, like, I'm not going to do it now, but you're trying to do a sit up and you go, these are your legs. You go flop, flop, as opposed to just like a rocking motion.
Yes.
So your pinky toe and the top of your hair right here is one complete solid unit.
Yeah.
So you can use your body together, like that.
Yes.
And then there's a connection to the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Chris will describe, he'll be like, oh, my ankle or my foot is my shoulder is my, like to.
Yeah. But that's all 3. So you're connected to the floor, and then your body is connected to itself, and then you're attached to the skeletal frame with no structure. So when they push into you, they're pushing into the floor. Yeah. So you can generate so much power and efficiency with it. It just makes everything easier.
Yeah, it really does. And I having the way of describing it like that and the way you guys teach that kind of thing, it helps so much, because so many times that I'd have people try and hint at, though, oh, just make that heavy or just what, but like having the correct way to explain that to someone is so huge, because there were things even with Chris, like I've learned a lot of things from Henry, but there were even details that like Chris is just so good at very simply explaining some things that I had gone over a number of times with Henry, and I still didn't quite get what he was saying. And he's a very good teacher, but I still didn't get it. Whereas like, Chris had a thing, oh, we'll do this. And it was like just the basic hip escape frame, the way he put it, somehow I went, oh, and it clicked and that changed my entire game. Just a simple concept, and yeah.
Yeah. And also too, it's like, I don't know, some people just like other teaching styles better than others. It just resonates with them better. But
right.
But also it's like sometimes, like I'm sure it's happened to all of the Rickson guys. Well, I wouldn't explain it that way. I think the analogy is like this. And like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Cool. Yeah. But and then that one of that guy's students comes over and like, well, I would explain it like that. Oh, Yeah,
Yeah.
now it makes, you know what I mean? So you just get a different perspective on the same thing sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
it helps. It's all you need. Sometimes, yeah, it's just maybe just exactly like you said, having two perspectives, and then all of a sudden they make sense together. You get to see the bigger picture. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, or just like just the way he did it worked for you, you know.
yeah, sure.
It was really funny. I had this student um, over at Commas and a really bright guy, and I'm like, he's like, can't do the move. I'm like, okay, make sure you do that. Let me show you this. I can't do it, you know. Okay, yeah, let me have you feel it. Da, 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 da.
Mhm.
Okay, and then finally, I'm like, okay, what I need you to do is create a downward pressure with your calf on his SI joint in his back. And
Yeah,
then when that happens, I need to use your inner thigh against it. He's like, dude, why didn't you say? And then he does it perfect. I'm like, why? He's like, why didn't you say that? I was like,
yeah.
dude, I was like, I showed you, and I made you I did. I said it with my body. He's like, well, yeah,
Right.
explain it like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
kind of
people
funny.
definitely learn different ways, and some people need it broken down in yeah, totally different manners. Some people just have to feel it, and it's, or a combination of all of that. So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's been interesting. We've been one of our affiliate, Glenn Powditch, is out in the UK, an SPG guy, but he's very particular about explaining where the sit bone positions are and using the iliac crest as a very specific, like, you're not just connecting to the hips, you're connecting to the iliac crest. And like, it's interesting how like it just his precision of explaining a couple of those things in certain positions completely, like, oh, this makes more sense now. That's a precise point. Like we were saying earlier about the naming conventions, there's certain things sometimes that will really get something through that help out a lot.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting too. I was going to say something earlier when we were
Hmm.
talking about being open to new concepts and things like that. But there's a rule like the first obstacle there is to learning is thinking you already know. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like on the white belt moves to a black belt level. If I'm like, no, 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 I already know that. I already know that. Well, why
Yeah.
can't you pull it off in the tournament?
Hmm.
Aja did. It's
Right.
like it's like so thinking you already know that's going to stop you from learning.
Yeah.
Another thing, like I don't know what the iliatic crest is.
Hmm.
I know what the sacral iliac joint is. I don't know what the crest is. I'm assuming it's the top of the hips. But you
Right.
got to be careful using words that people don't understand because they'll just blank out on you. It's like I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like he might as well
Right.
talk in Latin. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Or like French. Like I don't know what
Right.
that means.
Right.
So make
Yeah.
sure you use either to define your terms.
Yes.
Yeah, one, like we were talking about earlier, you have to have terms, but you have a definition for them. You got to make sure that the student understands the definition of it.
Yeah.
Dude, why aren't you doing bass?
Right.
But my legs are, oh man, you idiot. It's
Yeah.
like, no, no, here's what bass means. And then da da da. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have to
Yeah.
um you have to be able you have a responsibility to make yourself understandable, you
Yes,
know.
yeah, clarity is so important, and like you're saying, yeah, the you have to make sure that everybody's up to your base of knowledge that you're referring to start with. Otherwise, and that's why I think it's so important to have good foundations and when you're learning in jiu-jitsu in the beginning, because if you don't have that, then the other things are gonna always be a struggle because you won't have a, yeah, basic understanding to start from in the first place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how much of this is yeah, I feel like people who like Taoism should really enjoy all of the, the good jujitsu, and especially the Rickson style, like finding the middle way, and like that, once you're on that, the path tends to present itself. And yeah, and just having to, like, not having a full cup so that you don't, you need to be able to have an empty cup so you can actually learn and
Yeah.
things. So,
Learn. Yeah.
yeah.
Real quick, what state are you in, or where are you in the
I'm
world?
now in Texas for the last couple
Okay.
of years, but spent most of my life in California. Finally, just couldn't take it anymore and moved out here. But I miss the land. But yeah, I spent a little time in Oregon as well. But yeah, but yep, out in Texas now. So small town called New Braunfels, but that's where at my current place I'm training at is SBG Texas, which is kind of funny because I've come full circle now. I started in SBG and now I'm back at one. And but it's cool because like I've known John Frankel for years. He's out in Korea, and his student who had lived in Korea for years started the gym here, and so he's like, "Hey, you got to go by. You should meet my friend Michael and Michael Hines and his wife Kaylee, and they run the gym here, and it's been great though. It's a very well run gym, and especially for someone older coming back like me, that they're very careful about who they let in and and how we train. I mean, if anything, I've almost complained sometimes that it's too soft. So I've had to, even though at my age, that's probably a really good thing. But
Yeah, it
yeah,
might be, yeah. What's that saying? Like your vibe is your tribe. I think they or your tribe is. I forget
one
how
tribe,
they.
one
That's
vibe is their thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So one of the reasons, sorry, there was a gnat.
yeah.
One of the reasons I asked where you were is I think there's a big bug on the wall behind you, but oh never, or is it a string for the
Oh,
is
it's
that
the string. Yeah,
oh,
it's
okay.
quite possible that there would be because we do have some massive cockroaches and other bugs. So I
I was
appreciate the
like,
heads up because there could have been something deadly and nasty. Texas is full of critters.
yeah, because I couldn't get this sideways and have a bigger picture, and I didn't want to like get way up to the camera, but I can't see the string, but I'm like,
Like,
wait, maybe I do see the string. Yeah,
yeah, you never know.
yeah,
I could have been in danger. There's yeah, all the animals tend to be armed around here, although oddly I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like the citizens. I'm like they might all be carrying guns, but they're super friendly and I've had like no aggression or trouble from anybody out here. So
yeah,
the fauna is like that as well.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Australia's got some wild animals. I know some people are like, I'm not going to Australia. Like, no.
Yeah.
But the other night there was a spider about like maybe this big that
Whew.
was walking across my floor at my friend's house.
Yeah.
He's been so kind. His name is Alex or Alex. But he's like, I'm just gonna stay at my girlfriend's house. So I've just got this huge just house to myself in this beautiful neighborhood. So
Yeah.
he's been very gracious.
That's
So
awesome.
shout out to Alex. Yeah. All the
Awesome.
people on this trip have just been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like you've been having a good time. I see the pictures on social. And like, that's pretty cool. You're off a fun adventure, and you've been traveling all over the place. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And did I
Yeah.
hear you say though to I guess to stray off the jiu-jitsu for a minute? Do you work with a dairy or something as well when you're back?
No.
Oh, I was talking to somebody who I thought it was you. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it was God, maybe it was Justin. I can't remember anyway. Yeah,
Like
somebody.
a milk and cheese and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
somebody and
But no.
I thought it was oh okay all right so what so but you still have another job that also puts you around the
Yeah,
world a
I
bit?
do like financial planning and insurance type stuff.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
But it was nice because I had an office and all that stuff when I was in California, and then COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up closing like a $750,000 deal with a client
Wow.
over Zoom.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, if I could do this with a person who's never met me in person before
Yeah.
over the internet, I can move, I can travel, and I can handle my clients via email anyway or a phone
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
But new clients and prospecting, that's what I was worried about. And but I'm able to do that. You can do webinars and stuff like that. But now we're kind of back to the real world again, and I need to probably get a formal office and yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get back to some marketing like face to face.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's something to be said for that too, but it is nice
Always,
that we can,
yeah,
do these or even just this podcast. Like I used to feel like I had to get together in person most of the time with people, but now it's awesome to be able to, I mean, you're sitting in France and we're having a talk. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
it is cool. Thank God for technology.
Right.
Um, but that is another definition of connection. Is actually like being face to face, shaking someone's hand and looking them in the eye. And then you just get that energy from them. So it's like
Yeah.
that's another definition of connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool stuff. So how's the food been out there?
You know, the US, in my opinion, needs to really step up their game with regards to agriculture.
Yeah.
Um, like
Agreed.
the first time I went to Australia, so Chris and I, same thing. So the first time I ever traveled, it was a phone call. Would you want to come to the Philippines and teach? And
Yeah.
then I flew in, and then I got to meet them. But the second place I went was Chris. He was training at he was a CTC. So he's under the Gracie University. Didn't
Oh
have
yeah.
a ton of exposure to any of Rickson stuff except for a guy named Jason Robig. But I
No,
don't know how
right.
extensively they got into it. But he's like, hey, would you come down and teach? And I had a family friend who lived there. So she met up with her, and she's like, hey, you want to get a shark and a salad? I was like, um, yeah, sure. But the first bite of the bell pepper that I ate, I took a bite of. She's
Yeah.
like, I don't like bell pepper. Take my bell pepper. I'm like, okay. And I was like, this is different. She's like, I know it's like locally sourced. It's blah blah blah. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's really good.
Yeah.
Um, you know so the food here in Europe, I've got to say that the produce is better
Yeah.
than what we have in the U.S.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know why, but it is. And I don't because I don't know about their farming methods and stuff here. Oh, by the way, on the way to the gym that I've been teaching, I haven't been doing seminars right now. I've just popping into teaching like small group privates
Yeah.
or like classes.
Hmm.
But driving along, there was like acres of hemp,
Oh,
massive hemp,
cool.
tall, like really tall. I
That's
was like, is
awesome.
that fucking weed? Is weed legal here? And the guy, he speaks English really well, but not his vocabulary is somewhat limited.
Hmm.
But he's like, I think it's related to the marijuana plant. I was like, oh, hemp. And he's like, yeah. But they had a massive, and then they actually cropped it just like a couple weeks ago.
Ah,
But
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
they
so they
actually
had
have
that.
a bit of a hemp industry there, but they still don't, unfortunately, they haven't like started exporting textiles or anything like that. But France is one of the bigger producers, I think, that still uses a lot of hemp of the
Yeah,
countries out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's an amazing plant. I don't know all about it like you or maybe Driscoll, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a really, really, really solid fiber, good for the environment, etc. To
Yeah.
my understanding.
Hmm.
Um, Limited understanding. And then today I went to the bakery first thing in the morning and I got a baguette. And
Yeah.
I
Nice.
got to tell you, the French bread is really, really good.
Good.
And like I had a croissant,
Yeah.
um, the other
Lives up
day,
to the hype,
just
huh?
super fresh and like amazing.
Yeah.
So um, I've had a couple of like meals. I was like, man, I like a nice restaurant here, but I couldn't read the menu. I didn't know what the fuck I was ordering really.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
my friend was like, fuck, I wanted that. You know, can
Yeah.
we? So I went to another place and I'm like, I'm just gonna can I have a hamburger? Like that, like okay,
Yeah.
fine. But the food's been really good. Each place I've gone to, I've had really good meals. When I was in it was called Dark Star Jiu-Jitsu in um it's a couple hours south of London. I went right on the water and I had like some of the best fish and chips I've ever had. It was just like melt in your mouth, fall apart, flaky, just
Yeah.
really, really good. So the food's been really nice though. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I think the bar's pretty high there for that, which is and then I think yeah, like I said, I think they're just starting with they just have a more they want higher quality ingredients to start with that are just, less naturally, less pesticides and things like that, and it's not as much monocropping and locally sourced
Yeah.
is a little more important to them. And I
Right.
experienced, I think, of all the places I lived that probably had the most of that was probably up in Oregon, actually. It seemed like a
That would make
lot of
sense.
places, yeah, like we're like, oh, this is from the local farm, and it was really easy to
Yeah.
get, pasture raised meat and stuff like that. It was really simple. And then that was nice, but yeah, it's unfortunate that America still, I think, because of back in the
Quantity
day.
over quantity over quality
Yeah,
here.
and I think well, because they were worried a long time, well, not long ago. I think it was back in like what the 60s, 70s, where they were worried that they weren't going to have enough food to feed the population. So they're like, oh, freak out, let's subsidize these big monocrops and make sure everybody gets food, and it worked. I mean, we now it's know that it's not a problem. We're going to be able to feed people for foreseeable future, but in doing that, and then not removing all the subsidies and all these things later on, it's like, okay, there's no incentive, necessarily to stop doing that because you can produce it for cheap and people can, afford it more. And especially these days, everything's so danged expensive. But yeah, it's unfortunate because the quality of food is can be very low by default. I mean, it drives me crazy when I send my kid to, I'd finally sent her to public school for a little while, and the lunches that they try to feed them, I just go, "God, like horrible. Like, can't we at least feed our kids a little better? I mean, it's just the worst processed food."
Pizza is considered a vegetable.
Yeah, and like, if they could make a decent pizza, I'd be like, okay, at least maybe you could argue that there's some good nutritional value, but even those are just like they pick the worst of the ingredients and
Yeah,
quality
and the
level. It's
cheapest and the highest processed, and yeah.
yeah,
By the way, earlier I said that it's quantity over quality. I said here, but I was in the U.S. with you right then. So in the
that's what
U.S.
I
it's about quantity, and
yes,
then here it's more about
I
quality. Yeah,
figured that's what you meant. Yeah.
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 No, I was going to make a horrible joke. I'll tell you off camera, but about being malnutritioned at school and some of the incidents that we've had at schools over the
Yeah,
years.
I
If
know.
I felt like that and was hyped up on Red Bulls and sugar and stuff, I might have ADD and some other
Right.
problems.
Oh, for
But
real.
you
No,
get to, yeah.
yeah, it drives me crazy how much we just push sugar in general. I mean, I am not against some good chocolate, some other sweets here and there, but the amount that they push it on kids, and then at the same time, the amount that they're pushing, all the pharmaceuticals on them, where it's like, oh, gee, like the kids already, like especially boys, naturally don't do well sitting still in a seat for 8 hours a day, and that's already a struggle. And so you're gonna do that to them at that point, and then you're gonna feed him sugar all the time. Like they even give out sugar as like things as rewards all the time. I talk to my daughter and I'm like, oh, what was going on? Oh, well, we did this, and then they gave us popsicles. Oh, we did, and somebody had a birthday. Everybody brought in, and it's just, and then it's in their lunch, the lunch food and everything. It's mostly processed things that will turn into sugars quickly. It's like you wonder why these kids can't behave.
Worse than sugar is like going back to subsidies. There's a book you should read, or sorry, there's a book I recommend people reading. It's called Economics in One Lesson,
Hmm.
and I think the author, I forget his first name, but I think it's Hazlitt.
Hmm.
Um, but you can get it on Amazon or whatever, any of the whatever. But it does talk about things that can go wrong with like subsidies.
Yeah.
Um, but high fructose corn syrup,
Oh yeah.
that's like
Right.
10 times worse than sugar.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if you go to the store and then look at like tomato sauce for like
Right.
pasta or for
Yeah.
spaghetti,
Yeah.
sugar or high
Yep.
fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
But I was told now Coca-Cola, because you ever get the Mexican Coke that comes in a
Yes. Right. With the
glass bottle, not a
yeah.
can.
Right.
It comes in a glass bottle. It
Yeah.
just tastes better,
Yeah.
but it's cane sugar. It's not
That's
high fructose corn
that's
syrup.
right. Yeah.
But I think with the pressure of make America healthier again, I just
Yeah.
heard that Coca-Cola was going to actually switch over back to cane sugar.
That'd be great. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, and like if
yeah.
if I could have Mexican Coke
Right.
anywhere in the U.S., I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
That
Yeah,
would be awesome. Because like, yeah, like I'm always like, I'm not again like, yeah, fine. You want to get some ice cream or something, but like at least make sure it's real ingredients. Like I'm amazed at even here, I was like thinking, oh, there's gotta be some like decent, pasture raised simple ingredient ice cream at the giant HEB store here, which are a big grocery store chain. And there's like 100 types of ice cream. And like actually, oddly enough, the only one I could find that had recognizable ingredients where it's real food, like Michael Pollan's kind of like, hey, if your grandmother can't figure out what that is, it's probably, don't eat it. And it was like the only one that had was Haagen-Dazs, and I'm like, okay, it may
I was
not be
just going to say
pasture raised.
Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, it
It's
may not
like,
be pasture, but at least it was like eggs, milk, whatever, yeah, sugar. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, good.
or like I, I think they used to make it with honey. And that was my
Uh,
favorite. It was like vanilla extract, milk,
yeah,
honey. And
yeah,
I don't know about the eggs or not. And that was like I remember reading that. But I just got I don't have a sweet tooth ever, but every now and again I'm like, you know what? I need some. But
yeah.
I just got some Haagen Dazs right now. But I was gonna say I was gonna jump in. If you say something else, I'm like, go look at Haagen Dazs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it's funny. I used to give them crap as like the generic brand back, but it was the only one. And I'm going, that's ridiculous. Like, hats off to them for keeping that. But yeah, it's tough. I
But
mean,
it tastes amazing. Haagen Dazs, just even if you get simple vanilla, it just tastes really, really good.
it
Yeah.
does. Yeah. And I'm convinced that your body just does better without all this crap. I had gut issues and other things for a while. And I mean, one of the things that I changed was just, yeah, really eliminating anything that had weird, chemicals going on, just stuff that I couldn't recognize and other odd things. I'm like, all right, let's just none of that. Like I'm only eating real food. And even if it is, something that's not as nutritionally valuable, like ice cream or whatever, I mean, it at least make
It's
sure it's
made
made.
out of like
Yeah.
real ingredients.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
food. So it's like, oh, okay, what do you know? And like my health got much, much better. So yeah, it just
Yeah.
seems like the wise way to go. And luckily I have kind of taught my daughter on that, so she's pretty up on that, except she will cave though to the crap they give her at school. It's like now she's decided that she likes cafeteria pizza better than all the great pizza I've fed her, which makes me very, very sad. But it's a small loss. Hopefully it'll get corrected someday.
Growing up, my mom, she had the kind of the whole foods type of, or like, diet and natural and stuff like that. We'd always have vegetables and like, some sort of like nice clean protein.
Yeah.
We never were allowed to have like Fruit Loops or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we'd go over to our friend's house, man, or like even just getting Wonder Bread, and
Yeah.
just like, because we always had a whole grain, like, like, a whole wheat bread or whole grain
Sure.
bread,
Yeah.
but like Ezekiel bread, stuff like that. But you go over there and that was just, I was like crack cocaine, like, yes.
Yeah.
I remember one weekend, I was a teen. I forget how old I was, but we went over to a friend's house. Their family was not like that at all. It was like frozen burritos. We
Yeah.
would do for a weekend, like chocolate milk in like chocolate cocoa puffs, and just
Yeah.
like hot dogs and like whatever. And so we were just eating like absolute crap all weekend. And I
Yeah.
remember just feeling like shit. And then we'd come back on a Sunday night, and my mom had like she made I forget what it was. It was like a stir fry, but it
Yeah.
was like good rice, and
Nice.
then nice vegetables, and like I don't know if it was chicken or beef, but it was like, oh,
Yeah.
I just, my body was just like, thank you, it was really fun, totally worth it, but I feel so much better now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
Yeah.
that is definitely a thing. And I was similar sometimes where luckily the one that I've never liked that I didn't grow up with and to this day, if you offered it to me, I will not touch is like any sugar cereals. I remember thinking I would like that, and the first time I had one because I wasn't used to them, I was like, this is disgusting. I couldn't do it. But there were definitely some weaknesses. Like I'd go to friends' houses and I remember like living off of Snickers bars alone for like a whole weekend. Oh
Yeah.
man, I was messed up. But it seemed good at the for a moment there. But yeah, you're right. Like you get back to the real stuff and it's like, oh, okay, what do you know? You feel better, you probably behave better and everything else. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely something to be said for it.
Definitely, definitely.
Good stuff.
I'm gonna need to start getting ready for my
Yeah.
my private lesson. Can we sort of wrap it up, and
Yeah,
then I'd
yeah,
like
I
to
think
talk
I think
about
that's
some a
good.
little
We
bit.
meandered off into the food depths, so we'll
Yeah.
we'll let it go. I think we covered the jiu-jitsu really well, and it was interesting to hear, yeah, like what you're up to and how your life was and what someday I people got to go look up the other interviews where you mentioned the your story with Skrillex, which was pretty funny. I like
Body slamming him, thinking I
yeah.
broke his finger. Yeah,
That
yeah,
cracked me up. I was listening. I had one of his tracks came on the other day when I was driving around in my car, and I was trying to explain that to my daughter. So it was because it was a hilarious story. But anyway,
yeah.
you've got lots of good interviews out there, and you're another person who's like kind of like I don't think most people have heard about you, but I hope
Yeah.
more of them do because it sounds like you're doing some really good stuff, and I hope to get to meet you in person sometime when you're back from your globe trotting, and hopefully I
We'll
can.
make it happen. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
make it happen. I'll buy
Yeah.
some keys or some rash guards. I actually was on your website. By the way, how do you pronounce it? And then what does it mean?
Datsusara, and it means it's something I got out of reading Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. He kept bringing up the term, and at the time when I was coming up with the business, that was influential. And it basically, it literally in Japanese, it means to escape the salary worker's life. But it was to me, it was
Okay.
all about like, oh, finding your what your passion, your true
Your
calling,
passion. Yeah.
and not just following the laid out path ahead of you. It wasn't necessarily about being lazy or not working hard, which I've had to
Yeah,
explain to a
like
lot
what
of
I'm doing
people.
right now is Datsusara or
Yes.
Datsusara. However,
Absolutely. So, and hopefully people see that because they're gonna go, "Oh, Chris has got just another jujitsu guy on again." But hopefully they understand that I'm specifically talking to people who are on that kind of Datsusara like path, and it just happens to be that they're doing jujitsu with it. So, but yes, you definitely qualify. So, yeah, I think you're a good person for people to check out and learn from. Yeah,
thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, excellent.
Oh, but I was going to say I was on your website,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was like, okay, I wore one hemp gi. I think it was a lucky gi, and it was
Yeah,
actually
sure,
I was
Scotty. I helped him produce those. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I went to visit Ryan. I was passing through, seeing clients there in Texas, and anyway, popped into the school, and I was like, I always just buy the Fuji's, and I'm friends with Budo Jake, so I buy his why can't Kaizen gis.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I like, I just get the cheap gis. I bleach them, I wash them. I don't, I don't hang dry, which is funny here in Europe,
Yeah.
and same in Australia.
Uh-huh.
They don't have dryers. Everything's just hang
Oh,
dry.
really?
But I'm
Yeah.
like
Old school.
so inefficient. Yeah. But yeah, I'll dry my gis on high heat. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
do
they're
too.
like $60-70, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. But if I, but I'll spend that amount. But it is nice to have a nice, well-fitting gi, yeah, but I was looking at that hoodie, that there's a hoodie on your thing, and I was like,
Yes.
I just have a thing for hoodies. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll have to meet you and buy a gi or two, and then get some hoodies and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'll hook you up with some stuff. Actually, I think you'd like it all. Yeah, and that hoodie's a lot of fun. It goes into like my old days when I liked being kind of hidden from people a little bit too, like you were talking about with the hat. Especially in my old stoner days, it was just like, nope, go away, everybody. I'm just out on my mission. But yeah, the hoodie's good for that. But it is also very comfortable, and yeah, has all the great properties of hemp as well. So yeah,
Cool.
we'll get you hooked up. That'd be fun.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. I had fun.
Well, thanks for making the time. I really appreciate it, and we got the time difference to work and got it done. So yeah, it was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.